My quiet Saturday morning shattered the moment 4 golf carts came crawling down my gravel road, and a woman in a spotless cream pantsuit lifted a megaphone to her lips and declared right there on my front lawn that my private dock was now community property. She had a crew with bolt cutters, a stack of forged papers, and the absolute confidence of a tyrant who'd never heard the word no. What she didn't know was that I'd been sitting on my porch with my grandfather's old shotgun leaning beside me, and 3 sheriff's deputies hidden in the tree line waiting for my signal. She walked straight into a trap she didn't even know existed. My name is Ethan Hawkins, and I've lived on this little slice of lakefront heaven longer than Teamont Estates has existed. My cabin is nothing fancy. Cedar shingles faded to the color of winter storms, a stone chimney older than I am, and a wraparound porch that creaks in all the right ways. My wife Darlene calls it our forever place, and she means it. My grandfather bought these 5 acres back in '62 when the whole area was swamp and mosquitoes the size of hummingbirds. Turns out that swamp was sitting on the prettiest cove in the whole county, and Grandpa's gamble became our family's sanctuary. And that dock, the one Karen would later try to steal that thing, isn't just wood and nails. It's where I drink my morning coffee, where Darlene reads on warm afternoons, where my grandkids caught their first fish. It's where I proposed to Darlene again on our 30th anniversary, just because I felt like reliving a moment that mattered. That dock holds our whole story. And none of it, not a single board or nail, has anything to do with Teamont Estates or their HOA. Their development sits half a mile down the road. Big houses, bigger egos, freshly paved driveways, and people who paid 7 figures to pretend they're outdoorsy on weekends. We share the same lake, and that's about it. Separate parcels, separate deeds, separate access roads. Nothing connects us except water. For years the arrangement worked just fine. Then Karen Lawrence moved in. Karen didn't just join the HOA, she seized it like a queen taking her throne. Sharp blonde bob, expensive suits, the posture of someone who genuinely believes God himself appointed her to manage property values. Within months, she was rewriting rules, fining neighbors for aesthetic violations, and weaponizing bylaws like she had a personal vendetta against happiness. The morning she first targeted me started like any other. Mist rising off the lake ducks gliding across the glassy water, and me sitting at the end of my dock with a mug of coffee that Darlene brewed just right. Then I heard it, a high-pitched electric whine like a mosquito with a superiority complex. The HOA patrol golf cart. Out stepped Barry Kendrick, retired accountant and self-appointed sheriff of the lawn police, armed with a clipboard and moral outrage. Behind him sat Janice Puit, who had the uncanny ability to look disappointed at absolutely everything, including sunshine. Barry didn't greet me. He didn't wave back. He marched across the edge of my property, bent over, and actually measured a dandelion with a miniature tape measure. "That's a $25 violation," he called out, puffing his chest like he'd caught me dealing contraband. "Barry," I said, sipping my coffee, "it's a flower. The bees like it." He ignored me, most dictators do, and moved on to Darlene's bird feeder. Then he dropped the real bomb. "The dock," he said, adjusting his glasses. "Private docks are subject to review under President Lawrence's Community Integration Initiative." "My dock," I repeated, "is on my land." Janice perked up like a malfunctioning smoke alarm. "Your structure has been identified as the ideal foundation for a community pier," she chirped, "a shared amenity for all residents." I stood, walked a few steps toward them. "You can tell President Lawrence that my dock isn't for sale, for donation, for integration, or for her scrapbook. And if anyone steps onto my property without written permission, we'll be discussing it with more than clipboards." Barry's face drained. Janice made a wounded noise. They scurried off in their golf cart, leaving behind a cloud of gravel and the scent of bureaucratic overreach. But Karen wasn't done, not even close. 2 days later, a neighbor called and told us to look at Facebook. I don't use social media, but I managed to pull it up. And there it was, a glossy photo of my dock taken from the water without my permission, paired with a huge announcement. "Thrilled to reveal the future site of our Teamont Estates community pier," Karen wrote. "The Hawkins family is currently in friendly negotiations to donate this underutilized structure." Friendly negotiations. The only conversation we'd had was me telling her people to get off my land. The comments were split. Half the neighborhood praised her vision. The other half asked if she had lost her mind. But Karen replied to every skeptical comment with the same sugary lie, "We're working with the Hawkins family. They're wonderful people." Then strangers started showing up. A family unpacking a picnic on my lawn. Kids running toward my dock yelling about the new community pier. 2 teenagers with fishing poles strolling down my path like it was a public park. Darlene handed them water and gently explained they'd been misled. That night the phone rang. "Karen." "Ethan," she cooed, "I'm sure we can find a price that makes everyone happy." "It's not for sale." "Everything is for sale, Ethan. The community expects this." When she hung up, the silence in our cabin felt heavy like a storm preparing itself. A week passed with no golf carts, no calls, no posts. Just that thick, uneasy quiet. Then one night after I came home late from a plumbing job, Darlene met me at the door shaking. "Someone was here," she whispered. "Down by the water I found the chain to my dock gate cut clean through. Bolt cutters. Someone had trespassed onto my land at night while my wife was alone." That's the moment something inside me cracked. This wasn't about a dock anymore. This was a threat. I bought cameras, industrial chains, a giant padlock, and I took my grandfather's shotgun from the mantel. Not to threaten anyone, just to remind myself what protecting your home looks like. Darlene kept a detailed log of every incident. We were building evidence. Then the rusty blue van showed up. 2 men stepped out big mean, the type who work for cash and don't ask questions. They dumped garbage on my property line, creating violations. Walt, my retired trucker neighbor, watched with birding binoculars and took notes like he'd been training for this moment. The van came back. Twice. Then one Friday night the men returned with trash bags and deliberate intentions. I stepped out onto my porch. Spiderweb tattoo shoved me hard. I stumbled, but I've hauled pipes my whole life. Men like him don't push me over. I shoved back. His buddy lunged. I popped him in the jaw. Nothing pretty, just self-defense. And the cameras got all of it. Deputy Miller watched the footage and nodded. "Keep collecting evidence," he said. "We're close." The next morning Karen overplayed her hand. I found a formal envelope in my mailbox containing a document with a county seal stating my dock was now designated community access and the HOA was authorized to seize it immediately. But the seal was off. The signature wasn't real, and the county clerk had no record of it. Karen forged a government permit. That's not harassment anymore. That's a felony. I called Miller, told him she was coming Saturday morning with her crew to claim the dock. He said, "Good. Let her. We'll be waiting." And so we were. Saturday dawned bright and cold. Darlene made coffee. I sat on the porch with the shotgun leaned beside me, not pointing at anything, not threatening, just present. At 7:55 a.m., 4 golf carts rolled toward my house in a perfect little HOA parade. Behind them came a white F-350 towing a flatbed of construction materials complete with giant banners announcing "Future Home of the Teamont Estates Community Pier," a Karen Lawrence initiative. Karen climbed out like she was stepping onto a red carpet. Perfect hair, perfect suit, perfect arrogance. Her hired muscle flanked her carrying bolt cutters and pry bars like faithful attack dogs. She raised her megaphone. "Mr. Hawkins, we are here to begin construction with full authorization." I stood up slowly. "You step 1 foot onto my land," I said, "and you'll be charged with trespassing, fraud, harassment, conspiracy, and God knows what else." Karen laughed brittle and sharp. "You're bluffing." Then I told her and everyone listening that I had video of her goons cutting my chain, video of them dumping garbage, a newsletter she signed years ago acknowledging my land was private and confirmation from the county that her permit was fake. The crowd shifted. Volunteers stepped back. A few muttered. Barry looked like he wanted to disappear into the soil. Karen's smile twitched. She saw her little army unraveling. And that's when the sirens hit. 3 sheriff's cruisers roared out of the tree line lights, flashing engines growling. Deputies fanned out, blocking every exit. Deputy Miller walked straight toward Karen like he'd been rehearsing it. "Karen Lawrence," he announced, "you're under arrest for document forgery, fraud, conspiracy, criminal trespassing, and harassment." Her portfolio slipped from her hands, papers scattering like defeated confetti. "You can't do this," she shrieked. "I built this community." Then she ran. She actually ran. In designer heels, down my gravel driveway. She made it maybe 40 feet before her heels skidded and she went down hard in a plume of dust. Suit-ruined mascara, streaking hair undone her entire empire, collapsing in real time. Deputies cuffed her while she screamed about lawyers and conspiracies. Her volunteers scattered like insects exposed to sunlight. Her hired muscle hit the ground before anyone told them to. The truck was impounded. The golf carts vanished. And just like that, the war was over. Karen's trial came fast. Every shred of evidence, my videos, Walt's binocular testimony, the forged permit, the HOA's own newsletter laid out in chronological order like the world's most humiliating slideshow. Karen's lawyer tried to spin, dodge, minimize, but the judge wasn't buying any of it. The verdict wasn't just a legal ruling, it was an exorcism. 18 months behind bars, 5 years probation, banned forever from any HOA role, required restitution, forced to sell her McMansion to pay for her own downfall. The moment the judge finished speaking, Karen's shoulders dropped, not in sadness, not in disbelief, but in the realization that she'd never actually had power. She'd only ever borrowed it from people who were too polite to push back. But not me, not this time. Because when someone tries to take the place you've built with your own hands, the place that holds the memories of your entire life, you either let them or you stand up. And standing up is the only reason I still have my dock. Sometimes the bully wins for a while, but only until someone refuses to move.